The forest was quiet, eerily quiet. A thin morning mist drifted between the trees of the Hurtgen forest. Then, a low mechanical growl rose from the horizon. 50 monstrous machines nicknamed the meat choppers by the men who feared them most emerged from the fog. From his command post on a ridge, a battle-hardened German general stared in frozen disbelief as his elite battalion, proud and unbreakable, began to disappear before his eyes, in minutes. What you're about to hear is not a tale of glory, but of utter annihilation. Autumn 1944. The Allies were grinding forward on the Western Front, and the ancient Hurtgen forest had become a slaughterhouse. German defenders dug in deep, believing the dense woods and rugged terrain would neutralize American armor. One elite battalion, veterans of France, Poland, and the Eastern Front, held a critical sector. They were disciplined, ferocious, and considered untouchable in close-quarters defense. But on this cold, damp morning, they would face a new kind of enemy, 50 heavily armed M4 Sherman tanks, upgraded with devastating 76mm guns and supported by infantry. To the Germans, these machines were not tanks, they were meat choppers. This is the story of the men who stood in their path, and the general who could do nothing but watch. The Hurtgen forest was a dark, dripping maze of pine and mud. Rain had fallen for days, turning the ground into a quagmire. The elite battalion, part of the 116th Panzer Division's grenadiers, waited in fortified positions. Foxholes lined with logs, machine gun nests camouflaged under branches, Panzerfaust stacked and ready. The men were calm, almost bored. They had repelled American probes before. They knew the forest favored the defender. From his elevated command post, a captured American half-track parked on a wooded ridge, General Lieutenant Heinz Gunther watched through binoculars. His face was stone. He had seen too much war to panic easily, but something about the stillness that morning unsettled even him. Then the ground began to tremble. A distant rumble, growing louder. Branches shook. Leaves fell like rain. At first the men thought it was artillery. But the sound was different, metallic, rhythmic, unstoppable. Gunther lowered his binoculars for a moment, then raised them again. His breath caught. Through the mist, the first shapes appeared. Angular hulls. Long barrels glinting dully. 50 Sherman tanks, advancing in a wide line, engines roaring, tracks chewing through mud and fallen trees as if they were paper. The battalion's anti-tank guns opened fire first. Muzzle flashes stabbed the gloom. A few shells struck home. One Sherman lurched, smoke pouring from its engine. But the rest kept coming. Then the meat choppers answered. 76mm guns barked in unison. High explosive shells tore into the German positions. Trees exploded into splinters. Foxholes collapsed under direct hits. Men were hurled through the air like broken dolls. From the ridge, Gunther watched the front line simply cease to exist. Machine guns on the tanks chattered endlessly, hosing the woods with tracers. American infantry followed close behind the steel wall, clearing bunkers with grenades and flamethrowers. The air filled with the screams of the wounded and the sharp crack of small arms fire. A young Oberleutnant rallied a squad near the center. They rose from cover with Panzerfausts, brave to the point of madness. 3 tanks brewed up in quick succession, bright orange fireballs lighting the forest. For a moment, hope flickered. But the meat choppers did not stop. More tanks pushed forward, grinding over fallen logs and bodies alike. One Sherman rolled directly over a machine gun nest. The crew inside never had time to scream. Gunther gripped the edge of his half-track so hard his knuckles went white. He shouted orders into the radio: flank them, fall back, counterattack, but the replies were fragmented, panicked. Some units never answered at all. In the thick of it, a Feldwebel dragged a wounded comrade toward the rear. A tank swiveled its turret with lazy precision. The main gun flashed. Both men vanished in a red mist. Smoke rose in thick black columns. The smell reached even Gunther's rich burning oil, cordite, and something worse. Something that made hardened veterans turn away. One by one, the strong points fell silent. A pack anti-tank gun crew fought to the last man, scoring 2 kills before a flamethrower turned their position into a pyre. Survivors stumbled rearward, faces blank with shock, uniforms torn and bloodied. Gunther watched an entire company, 200 men, reduced to scattered figures running through the trees. Then even those disappeared under renewed fire. Minutes. It took only minutes. When the guns finally fell quiet, the forest looked different. Trees smoldered. The ground was scarred with track marks and craters. Bodies lay twisted among the wreckage, some still moving weakly, calling for mothers or medics who would never come. The 50 meat choppers sat among the ruins like victorious beasts, engines idling, crews already dismounting to secure the ground. General-Lieutenant Gunther lowered his binoculars. His hands were shaking. He had lost battles before, but never like this. Never so completely, so quickly. His elite battalion, his pride, was gone. Vanished. Butchered. A radio operator approached hesitantly. "Herr General, orders." Gunther did not answer at first. He simply stared at the smoking graveyard below. The Battle of Hurtgen Forest would drag on for months, claiming tens of thousands of lives for a few miles of worthless woodland. But that morning's assault became legend among the survivors, a warning of what mechanized warfare truly meant. The meat choppers were not invincible. Many would later fall to mines, ambushes, or superior German tanks. But on that day, in that forest, they were unstoppable. For the men who faced them, the memory never faded. Survivors spoke little of it afterward. Some woke screaming years later, hearing again the roar of engines and the cries of friends swallowed by fire and steel. Tim. General-Lieutenant Gunther carried the sight to his grave, his proud battalion erased in minutes, powerless against the new gods of war. It was a reminder that no amount of courage, training, or reputation could stand against overwhelming material superiority when it came without warning, and without mercy. In the end, the Hurtgen taught a brutal truth: in modern war, even the elite can vanish like smoke when the machines decide it is time.